Hi, this is Martin Drummond with Progressive News. It's Monday, July 22nd, 2019. And I want to bring you a perspective. As usual, I'm trying to say something about things that are going on in our country and around the world that involve our country, that our country is involved in, that other people miss. Because I like to think that I'm helping my viewers have, something that is more important and goes beyond what they're being told. Usually mainstream media misses it on purpose, right? They don't want people to think about it. Or in the case of my fellow progressive pundits, they just miss it, right? And 90% of that is just because of the perspective, the viewpoint that they've had. They just don't have the opportunity to see it. I don't want to call them stupid because they're incredibly smart, but they somehow are programmed or to miss certain stuff. So in this case, I'm going to talk about why the United States all of a sudden is all excited or all worried about going to the moon again. And this is a journeyman documentary. It looks like it's PBS. They're quoting.
Thousands of miles away, 5-day trip. There is no 2-hour emergency ride home to Earth. So we have to learn how to become less reliant on the Earth.
So, I watched most of this. Well, at least half of it, I guess, from what you can see right there. And it just is the same old bullshit. I got to tell you that. And this is nothing to do with the actual video I'm doing here right now. But I do want to point out that NASA is a good old boy toy, a good old boy toy, a white boy toy. Yes, they have their token black person, Chinese person, American. We're talking about, of course, Americans. I'm not. So, but if you look at it, it's NASA, just like most government agencies in the United States are, and especially the more you get into anything that has to do with the survival of the human race, and this very much has to do with the survival of the human race. You end up with racism. No, I'm not saying that they don't hire any black people or Hispanics or anything. I'm just saying they monopolize it. Of course they want people to do the work, So of course they're going to hire minorities to do some of the work. And believe me, when they take a picture like this that's not for them, see, this picture's for them, and so it's almost all white. But believe me, if they take one for the public, specifically for the public, they're going to cram as many Asians and Africans in as they can. But generally speaking, I gotta say, NASA is racist. They only do what they have to. I mean, that says it all right there. I imagine that's astronauts, huh? And this illustrates how egotistical and quite honestly scuzzy these people can be. Oh, let's put the black girl right in the middle so that we have a woman and a black person. And the younger you get, the more minorities and there are. Okay, because they bring them in for the pictures and then they fire them. Seriously, I mean, they get laid off, whatever. I don't know, whatever. But, so anyway, that's enough about racism in NASA. It's just a very white thing that they've got going on. These are all astronauts. And of course you're going to have black astronauts and Asian astronauts because they recruit them from the Air Force, I think, is what I remember. So why is the United States getting all excited about the moon? They say there's water there now. So they think that, but how much water can there be on the moon, right? I mean, it's a rock. It's dust. It's a rock. It's got no atmosphere. You know, what are they saying? There's some big lake under the ground there? No. There's not much water on the moon. But the moon is, if you can develop manufacturing on the moon to manufacture rockets and space vehicles in zero-G, it's an excellent place to launch towards Mars, right? And Mars is the goal here. And I assure you, that's not the issue, though. The issue is this. Where was I here? Okay, so this is... But here you go down here, India, and then China are both trying to get to the moon. Why? Because they see it. They see it. And they would probably be more honest about it. I mean, this is a race to take over Mars. Take over the moon and to take over Mars. You know, the United States has been sitting back on its laurels since it landed a man on the moon, thinking that nobody else would have the balls to go to the moon. But now people are, because there's billions of us people on the planet, so believe me, they're completely thinking this way. I mean, wouldn't you be? If you thought in the long term of your people, your nation, and to a greater extent, it's important to the world. I mean, what if we do pollute ourselves out of existence here on the Earth? I mean, we're coming very close to it. What if we overpopulate the planet? I mean, look at China and India. The population has grown so much. Can they feed their own people? Could they grow enough? Or does the world need to be an international trade just to feed people in countries that can't feed themselves? I mean, ideally, international, if somebody's crops get ruined one year due to whatever, I mean, I'm not going to bring global warming into this because we don't know that global warming won't improve agriculture on a worldwide basis. I mean, you're talking it's warmer, maybe you get more crops, maybe not. Nobody seems to really know. And you know what? That's what bothers me the most. nobody seems to really want to talk about it. Even the environmentalists like me, but I want to talk about it. They don't really want to talk about where we're going. Not because it's not possible to speculate. It is possible to speculate. But they don't want the public all worried about it. Well, the best thing you can do is get the public involved and get people involved. The more people working on something, the more likelihood that one of them is going to come up with an idea that's just outstanding, right? So anyway, we should have a conduit that takes large amounts of people, gets them involved, funnels their ideas, and then to the media, and the media funnels them out to the public. Public gets educated. That would be nice, but that's not what we have. So in the meantime, of course, there's this huge race, and nobody really talks about it in the terms that I'm talking to you about it. The race to take over Mars. I mean, really is what it's coming down to. We're gearing up to fight over Mars. First, we're gearing up to get there. And then once we get there, we're going to start saying, well, this part of Mars belongs to us, right? Or the whole planet belongs to us, right? Okay, the moon. We landed a man on the moon first. Planted the American flag. We own the moon. What are you Chinese and what are you Russians and what are you Indians doing walking around? And didn't you see the no trespassing sign over there? I could shoot you, beware of dog sign. That's my lunar dogs down there, Spot and Casey, and they'll chew you a new ass. I mean, can't you see it coming? Can't you? Because, we're so human, and we fight like crazy over every square inch of land here on Earth. Why? Because we know how valuable every square inch of land on this planet is, and even though we don't need it yet, right? We want it. It makes us feel good, I guess. When this country was created, the only people allowed to vote were landowners. Figure that one out, right? So that's the perspective I want you to understand, because I don't think people, they watch all this stuff about rockets flying to the moon, missions to Mars, lunar rovers, Mars rovers, things, but they don't really think about it in terms of let's face it, human beings have a horrible history of fighting over everything, right? Go back a million years, apes were probably fighting over, even though at that time there was just massive amounts of land, just the species, and it's not just human beings. We talk about human beings like they're so horrible, but species of ants fight with each other. They got the whole planet to spread out, but they're going to fight over 2 square feet of soil in South Africa or somewhere. This is just the way we were. Because I talk a lot about animalism. Speaking of animalism, look at that. Our police being paid to kill us. It's an interesting perspective, huh? Definitely one I would concur with. So we've got this situation on Earth where people are just, well, what makes you think that outer space is going to be any different? Until you change the culture of human beings, you're not going to change the culture of anything we do in the future. So that's the perspective I'm trying to offer my audience. I'm trying to be of value to you people, so I'm trying to bring you something that, and I'm not saying nobody's ever said it before, or nobody's ever thinking about it. I suppose it's been in the back of your minds, but it was in the back of my mind. I kept seeing India, China, going to outer space, bragging about it on their media. And all of a sudden I realized, you know what? And then all of a sudden in the last couple of weeks I get really serious about the United States. And I see what's happening. United States is reacting to just the same things we're seeing in the media. China and India. I mean, these are two of the most overpopulated countries in the world, right? Gee, they're spending a small fortune to go to the moon. As a matter of fact, I saw a video on here, because these are my subscriptions soon. I saw a video on here about an Indian news, doing a piece saying, well, don't you think it's a little stupid to be spending all this money just to run over the moon, get to the moon, when you got millions of people starving or hungry or whatever, right? Poverty. Well, maybe not. Maybe not, because maybe you'll have twice as many people at the time when you get to Mars, and you'll just take them all, and you'll build something on Mars, and you'll take them all and move them to Mars to alleviate your problem, right? Maybe they're not spending money just for the glory of being technological, right? Maybe they're actually spending money with the idea that it might alleviate or solve their problem in the future. And maybe the United States suddenly sees that. They see China, they see India actually thinking in terms of getting to Mars and colonizing Mars. And probably, we all remember the very first alien, right? Or actually aliens, the second one. The colonists were sent there to terraform the planet. Well, maybe they're already thinking in terms of terraforming the planet, developing an atmosphere. We believe that Mars once had an atmosphere like Earth, and possibly even, we haven't had a chance to really look Mars over well enough to tell, but maybe even had, who knows, life. They have found something similar to microbial, to small creatures in the soil, but nobody really knows yet. I can tell you my perspective on life developing, and we're finding out that life can take on vastly stranger forms than the ones that we are, right? Doesn't have to be carbon based, doesn't have to be this, doesn't have to be that. We used to think it had to be. But what I think is that, and this lends to the idea that there is a greater plan, or like a God, that it seems pretty obvious that it's just natural for matter in the universe to form into planets, and for planets to grow, life, to become alive. And probably, like I just said, in a vastly different types of ways. But for sure, organic life, chemical, carbon-based, what have you, seems to be a natural way that it occurs. And that what happened to the Earth is, as we are already finding out, or we will find out, is normal. And vast. There's lots of it, lots of planets out there that are either in the process or have come and gone and everything. Maybe they come and go all the time. I mean, if the universe turns out to be infinite, as I believe it is, I believe it's infinite in both space and time and a couple other what I call the dimensions, right? Then it would turn out that there's an infinite amount of life out there. It's just so far away and sparse in our area that we haven't run across it. I mean, I believe that we will develop technologies that can, we'll find out that there are ways to get around an infinite universe. You'll see. Well, you may not, I may not, we won't, but the human race will. Of course, if you people out there would take me up on immortality, you'd get to see it. Because we can make ourselves immortal right now. I know exactly how to do it. And I mean, you can exist, you know, off and on whenever you want throughout time, as long as our human race exists. If we would do it, if you would get behind me. But I'm not going to let somebody else claim they figured it out and do it and get all the credit when it's me. I've had it for 20, 30 years now. I came up with this. And I'm not the only one. I've seen other people I've seen science fiction stories, Star Trek, whatever, I don't remember exactly, who are thinking in the same way. But I came up with a way to do it now. Nobody's got it now. If they have it, they're all hiding it. So anyway, sorry, that's a pet peeve of mine. I mean, it just amazes me that the human race, I mean, I've been putting this out here for years, but the human race doesn't seem like they're interested in me solving their problems. They would much more rather suffer than say, well, Martin Drummond came up with an idea and it turned out that it made human beings immortal and that they could live forever and participate in their families and everything, participate in life in perpetuity. As a matter of fact, by coming up with this wonderful technology, he made the human race immortal. Very possibly, very possibly. Anyway, you guys don't want it. You don't want to give me credit. Then you can't have it. I'm not just going to put it out there for everybody else to say, "Oh, look what we did." It's not going to happen. So, that's my perspective on what's really going on with the space race stuff. This is Martin Drummond with Progressive News. Thanks for watching.